Good evening from Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. This is the Kelly Wright Show. I'm your host and welcome one and all. We're glad you're joining us for this next hour. Coming up today, we're talking about the presidential campaign and how it's changed with Senator Elizabeth Warren now dropping out of the race. And later in the show, hip-hop R&B sensation recording duo Rough Ends will join us. All that and more in just a moment. But first, my opening observations. It would be wrong of me if I allowed this week to pass by without acknowledging that we are now in the month of March, which is the celebration of women's history. Now, in that context, this year marks the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, securing the right for women to vote. African-American women helped pave the way for that, women like Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Ida B. Wells, and more. The White House issued a proclamation for Women's History Month stating this: women have influenced and advanced every facet of American life and culture. The strength, ingenuity, and spirit of our female leaders, innovators, and pioneers shape our nation's character, government, industry, families, and communities. During Women's History Month, we honor the women who have changed our nation and the world. And we reaffirm our commitment to supporting the next generation of female trailblazers and dreamers as they carry forward this distinguished legacy. Dr. Mae Jemison, for example, the first black female NASA astronaut, once said this: never limit yourself because of others' limited imagination. Never limit others because of your own limited imagination. In other words, my friends, the sky is the limit. So ladies, I salute you and thank you for all the great accomplishments you have made and continue to make. You make all of us shine. Therefore, keep striving for excellence. Those are my opening observations, and now here are your headlines of the day. Fears about the coronavirus continue to roil global markets as the stock market continues to fluctuate widely. Meanwhile, the families of nursing home patients in Washington state are demanding answers. The majority of U.S. cases are based in Kirkland, Washington, although Maryland reported 3 cases yesterday. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has released a list of disinfectants to protect against the spread of the coronavirus. Some of the products on the EPA's list that qualify for use against preventing and reducing the spread of coronavirus include diluted household bleach, alcohol solutions with at least 70% alcohol, peroxide multi-surface cleaner and disinfectant, and Lysol disinfectant. For a full list of registered household disinfectants, go to EPA.gov. President Trump today signed an $8 billion emergency coronavirus funding package. The bipartisan funding is designated to combat the coronavirus outbreak. The funding includes $3 billion for developing treatments, $2 billion for public health measures to help prevent the spread, and more than $1 billion to be sent overseas. The Olympics is scheduled to be held in Tokyo this summer. Organizers say all venues are ready to go, but people are beginning to wonder if the games will be canceled or postponed due to the coronavirus. And Senator Elizabeth Warren, she has dropped out of the presidential race. After a poor showing in Super Tuesday contest, Warren decided to suspend her campaign yesterday. However, she has not thrown her support to former Vice President Joe Biden or Senator Bernie Sanders. And finally, on this day, 63 years ago, March 6, 1957, Ghana, the country of Ghana, gained its independence. It's a day when the people of Ghana celebrate their hard-fought achievement of freedom from colonial European powers. Ghana is the first African country to gain its independence. It is an historic day not only for Ghana, but for the entire African continent. And that's a look at your headlines. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Senator Elizabeth Warren ended her bid for the presidency yesterday, leaving former Vice President Joe Biden and Senator Bernie Sanders as the top two contenders. So the field started out large and diverse, but dwindled down to two older white men. Our next guests, Sharice Crawford and Patrice Lee Onwuka, are here to talk about why women and candidates of color can't seem to break through. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Sharice
Thank you for having me.
Love having you here.
Thank you.
So, look, there's a lot going on. One, it's Women's History Month.
Yeah.
Two, Elizabeth Warren has dropped out. So there's no woman or any person of color within the Democrat Party capable of becoming a presidential nominee. Am I wrong about that?
Well, wait a minute. Let's not forget Tulsi Gabbard is still in the race. She may not be in the top three anymore at all, but she's still there, and I would think she's also a woman of color.
I think Tulsi Gabbard
Yes.
may be a mole. I don't know who sent her, who's paying for her candidacy, why she's still there, but I think that, Elizabeth Warren was the absolute strongest candidate, even amongst those still standing in the race. And I think that America made it clear that they are looking for the Obama age again. A vote for Biden for America seems to be a vote for the Obama back into the White House. Michelle Obama is going to be in Detroit, and she is looking to campaign, obviously, for her former VP, which she's very well still a contender as a potential VP in the Biden camp. And so I think there's still hope for a person of color in the White House, and I think that is the indirect way of America saying, let's bring back the Obama administration.
Well, I'm just going to disagree and say what I took out of the past few contests is that this was a rebuff to socialism rather than just a rebuff, generally for people of color or for women. When we're looking at Bernie Sanders, I think he's done well in some states, but Elizabeth Warren was Bernie Sanders light, and I think her problem was not so much that she was a woman, but that she had other issues. She wasn't able to galvanize a lot of people of color. She didn't even win women in her state of Massachusetts. So there's some issues there. Now, when you look though at the Democratic ticket, I think the challenge is, and this is going to continue no matter in 4 years or 8 years, it's that identity politics plays a very big role where you don't see that on the conservative side. So, for example, the idea that you have to have a woman or have to have a person of color, that's very strong in the Democratic Party. But conservatives think broadly. They want to see the best person, and it's great if it's a woman. It's great if it's a person of color, but they want the person who's going to deliver opportunity for Americans, who's going to deliver the best results.
I will say that, to your point, in the sense of Biden being the current frontrunner of the Democratic Party, is that the left wing is looking more conservatively as to say who has the possible best chance of taking on the Trump administration. And so right now for America, that is looking like Joe Biden. And I think that not that Elizabeth Warren didn't do well with getting the women supporters in Massachusetts. I think that they were looking past, obviously, what is possible with her administration and her policies, but what is more kind of comfortable, or what is maybe more of a guarantee. So I think that these voters, American voters, were looking at what is a guaranteed vote that we can take back the White House. And it was voting, I think, from a space of fear and a space of discomfort and trying to stay in their comfort zone while voting for who they thought had the best chance.
I'm loving the conversation we're having because it's quite engaging and informative. Now, what do we think the Republicans are seeing, particularly after that massive turnout and during Super Tuesday? Would Republicans have some concern by the fact that so many people of color turned out? It was almost like a statement, we are going to address what happened in 2016, and that is we stayed at home. For 2020, we will not. Does that bode any difficulty for President
I think
Trump?
Donald Trump knows very well that Elizabeth Warren he was next on the chopping block. He knew that she was taking down establishments in misogyny. She was taking down the Bloomberg. Donald Trump knew that head to head with Elizabeth Warren, he would have had a problem. And so he specifically mentioned her name the day after Super Tuesday in his tweet. And then now having to face Joe Biden, I think he is aware that Joe is also going to be, because he wanted Bernie to be the front runner of the party, but I think he knows that Biden is also a strong contender and that can take him down. And so
I'll agree that President Trump would look at Bernie Sanders as a really good contender because they create such a nice dichotomy: socialism versus capitalism. Two very rich men, but certainly one who believes in the system that and allows the individual to become that. Now, to some of the other points, though, I don't think that the conservatives are looking at turning out those who sat out 2016 and saying, "Uh-oh, wait a minute," because I think you also have a lot of Trump supporters, people who never identified as going to support President Trump, but are looking at their financial situation right now, are looking at their family situation and saying, we are better off now than we were 4 years ago. And so I think
Which is
that's going
false.
to have a...
It's
just very much so false.
We look at the Gallup polling, I would disagree with you on that one.
All right, so we'll end to disagree and agree to disagree, but stay in harmony.
Yeah.
Patrice and Sharice, love the fact that we had a great, wonderful conversation about this. We'll obviously have you back on to talk more because there's still some campaign to be done.
Absolutely.
Thank you both for being on the Kelly Wright Show and giving some political analysis. It's very, very informative.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, we'll be back with more after this. My next guest is a former TV One executive that produced titles such as Fatal Attraction, Atlanta Homicide, In Broad Daylight, Dear Santa, I Need a Date, just to name a few. Now he has taken a leap of faith and opened his own production company. Please welcome owner and CEO of Past Line Productions, Gold Morgan. Good of
Thank you for
joining
having
us,
me,
man.
Mr. Wright.
I am so excited about what you're doing. We were just talking about it briefly before coming back to the show. Tell me what's going on with you.
Man, it's my 10th year in this industry, and I started off as a PA back in Atlanta. And I went from being a PA in the control room to being a part of AD teams on various series for like BET or even music videos, and jumping on to like Sunday Best as a stage manager. And I just kind of kept going, getting the AP work. And then suddenly I met an exec over at TV One. Her name's Kenyette Newman. Kenyette pulled me in. I came in as a coordinator in production management, and from there, it just kind of took off. I spent the last 7 years at TV One. I went from 5 years in production management and then went over to programming, and for the past almost 3 years now, I've been producing content, getting my EP credits up and creating relationships out in the industry where I was like, I can jump out there and do it too. So, it's a long story, and, I just I'm putting my faith to test. It's just like,
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing at all.
Nothing wrong with that at all, because when you put your faith to the test, where there's a vision, God makes a provision.
Absolutely.
So you'll be in LA. How can we support you on the Kelly Wright Show? Of course, we can keep talking about all the great things that you'll be doing, speaking that into existence now.
Absolutely. Manifest.
Exactly. Come on now.
Yeah, man.
And so what's the message you want to say to others who want to come into this space, the media space, and find opportunities and try to create their own content and make it count for something?
Oh, I have so much to say to those folks that want to get into this industry. It's a lot of hard work. Right now, you and I are sitting here, and people think it just pops up on the screen. But these are long days, long hours, a lot of relationships that need to be built. I say make sure that you meet everyone, because those people, whether they're the lowest man on the totem pole or the highest man on it, they all go somewhere else. Our industry is one that always moves, and it's so small that you might be here today, and then your PA who's bringing you water right now goes on, and their next job literally is an executive, and they're like, Gold, I want to bring you on because you've been this person that works hard, you've been this person that looks out, shares, nurtures, and tries to grow others. When you step onto those sets.
I got to stop you for a moment.
Oh, go
That
for
work
it.
ethic you just described, give that to me again. You got to share Work hard.
You gotta share. You gotta work hard. You gotta put something of yourself into others, because that's the other thing. And those building those relationships, it's not a relationship if I don't have a piece of you.
Right.
You know. So it's just like, build a relationship that means something. It doesn't necessarily always have to be about, oh, you could potentially give me my next job. If I see you struggling at your car, or I have an umbrella and it's raining outside, it takes nothing for me to walk over and say, come on, Mr. Wright, walk with me and we're good together. You know, so build meaningful relationships, because those are the people that show up for you. And it's worked for me time and time again, and I didn't even know it, that it was working that way. It's just my mom told me, hey, if you see somebody, help somebody. And it's just,
She sounds like my mom.
yeah, it's just like, if you see it, just find a way to make another person's day better. Like, I think in works of everything that we do, we gotta work outside of ourselves. And as you work outside of yourself, you find that it actually grows and helps you as well, because the people around you, even though you might not know it, are helping you move in a direction that you are walking in.
And with life like that, I can see why you're living your life like it's
Hey, don't tax us, Jill.
Yeah, don't touch it. Just love us, Joe.
Right, love us. Yeah, man.
Gold Morgan, I'm so proud of you, man,
Thank you.
and the best of everything. The prayer and support that we can give you on the Kelly Wright Show is always here for you.
Oh.
Always got a space here.
Thank you.
All right. God bless you.
Thank
man.
you. God bless you.
Gold Morgan, if any of you want to follow his example, follow him on
Instagram. My handle is gold, 4 gold.
All right. We'll be
Thank
back
you.
with more after this. So my next guest is Rollo Boykins. If you like to laugh, this is the man you got to talk to. He's at ease in front of any crowd, and he's always at ease in performing, and he's here. This talented comedian actor also believes in giving back to the community as well. Rollo, thanks for being here on the Kelly Wright Show.
Thank you for having me, man. I feel good. This is awesome.
Dude, don't remind me of James Brown now.
I get so many comparisons. It's always interesting to see, how people perceive you. Yeah, like I get Bernie Mac. I've gotten Joe Torre.
Really?
Yeah, so it's
I
wonderful.
I can see that
Yeah.
those aren't bad.
No, definitely not.
But at the end of the day, you're still you.
You gotta be.
So tell me about you.
Well, I just started off doing comedy at Howard University, like my junior year. So before then, I had never thought about doing comedy or being a comedian. But, I had always been like the funny guy out of my group of friends. So, junior year, they had a potluck barbecue or whatever you want to call it coming up. And a friend of mine, Stephen Warner, he dared me, like, you should do some stand-up comedy. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, I call it God, man, but I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Why not?
And what happened after that?
And then I did it, and then, that was it. The career kind of just took off. I did the Howard University homecoming comedy show that fall, and then I graduated in 2011, and I just stayed with it.
What was your degree in?
Advertising, so that's in communications.
Yeah, so it all kind of works together.
Essentially,
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
You're advertising, you're in communications,
Right.
You're a comedian, you're an actor. What's on the horizon for you?
Well, right now I'm a film critic. So the film criticism is, like, as I like to call it, is what I'm really enjoying right now. Going to the movies has always been one of my favorite pastimes. Even from the first movie I went to go see with my dad, it was such an experience, very memorable. And then I kind of just picked that up, getting into my comedy career. Because, right now, of course you have your stand-up comedy, but you see a lot of comedy being put online in various, mediums and ways. So the funny movie reviews is like my outlet now. So it's called Rollo Reviews. On Instagram, #RolloReviews, so check those out.
Yeah, thanks for getting out there. We'll check it out. Give me, what's your favorite place to perform?
My favorite, DC Improv, man.
Okay.
DC Improv.
Improv, wow.
Yes,
Tough,
that's like
man.
right
You
around the
gotta bring
corner.
it.
You do have to bring it, man, but they were like the first major comedy club, because of course I started my career in DC. They were the first major comedy club to show me love, and just being on that stage is just home at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's home, and from there, you can actually get a good taste of what you can accomplish.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, because it's comparable to a lot of, you know, the major comedy clubs in the nation. So you pretty much know where you stand comedically, you know, when you grace those stages. So
And what about touring? Are you on tour right now? Or
touring, yeah, I just did my breakout artist series at Caroline's on Broadway.
Nice.
Yeah, in New York. So that was
great club.
That is a great club. That's
How'd
one
you
of my
like that?
favorites. It was amazing, man. To be the marquee, you see a picture, you on the marquee.
On Broadway.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And I lived in New York for so many years.
Okay.
Always a fantastic place. Anything on Broadway is great.
Anything, man, and it was good, man. I just thank God, man, because it's a blessing to be able, because especially the way things are now.
Wait a minute, a comedian thanking God? Come on.
Yeah, you got to, man, because it's a blessing to be able, you know, to spread laughter and bring joy to people. You know, I've had instances where, you know, I'm just doing my thing on stage, and I get off stage, and somebody will come up to me and was like, you know, man, I lost my job earlier today. I was feeling this way and that way, and I don't know you, but, you know, you made me laugh, and it just made my whole day better. And you just don't expect to hear stuff like that.
Well, you know, laughter is medicine for the soul.
That's what they say.
And it's always good to have a merry heart and a good heart.
Definitely.
So it is a gift from God.
Yeah,
And your gift will make room for you.
definitely.
Won't he do it?
He will. Hey, he will. My God is able. My God is able, so it's a blessing, man. So I just try to keep going and spread the joy. That's like my main thing.
Rollo, you're doing it. You're spreading some love, some freedom, some peace, some joy, all through
appreciate it.
comedy. Love your smile, love your personality.
Thank you, man.
You got to come back and just do a whole routine for us.
Oh, man, that is doable.
Yeah.
Yes, that is very
is that
doable.
doable?
That's
Okay.
very doable, man.
All right,
I love
so-
telling my jokes.
All right, so I'm going to get with the team and say, okay, let Rollo come in and do a whole skit for us.
Awesome, man. I'm with it. You just let me know.
Up in here.
Time and a place. You let me
Mad
know,
love
man.
for you, man.
Appreciate you,
Thanks,
brother.
Rollo.
Thank you.
Go find him.
Yes, on Instagram. That's where you find all my content.
Rollo loves his freedom.
I do.
All right.
I do.
We'll be back with more after this. Welcome back to the Kelly Wright Show. With me now is Corey Fashon. He is the CEO of Hearts Empowerment, which is an incredible program, and he focuses on helping his clients raise money for different endeavors, and he has tips on how you can do the same thing. Welcome to the show, Corey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Man, tell me about Hearts of Empowerment, because I saw you guys in action over the weekend with Christian Benjamin. He's been a guest on this show, and you were actually doing that event for Covenant House.
Yep.
Amazing to see that.
Yeah, so like you said, it is called Hearts of Empowerment. And so what we do is we do nonprofit fundraising for other charities. And we are a charity in ourselves. So essentially what happens is we partner with these organizations that are having trouble planning events. And so event planning is the #1 thing that nonprofits need. And that's what we're here for, because events brings you funding. It also brings you awareness. So it goes kind of hand in hand with the two biggest things in nonprofits, and so in the nonprofit sector, I should say. So that's what we're here to do, is we're here to raise those funds and build awareness around your cause.
Now, this isn't an idea that you stumbled on. This is something that you were developing in your head for how many years?
So it all started back in my senior year at college at VCU. And so I've been volunteering my whole life. And, you know, when you start volunteering at different places, you really start to develop some type of relationship with the people that you're helping, or with the, you know, mentors that are there and all that type of stuff. And so that's kind of my situation. And so when I left for school, I came back, and basically there was almost nothing there from the organization that I had grown up in. And it was called Eddie's Club. And so what happened was when it really hit me hard. As soon as I came back and I saw, they couldn't keep their lights on and different things that, I was growing up in that shelter, but not only for me, I was going up there to volunteer for others, right? And so with that being said, I was just as impacted. I can't even imagine how it was actually being a client of Eddie's Club. And Eddie's Club basically is a club where you're able to put disabled individuals there as like a clubhouse type environment where they're able to socialize amongst each other and all that stuff. And so for me, developing all those relationships and coming back and almost seeing nothing, I was like, man, this is hard, but here I am, I have $20 in my pocket. I'm like, I can't really save an entire organization, right? So fast forward to the end of my school at VCU, I decided to throw a senior send-off, right? And so for me, I had no idea what I was doing, just made a Facebook group, and it turns out that it was a huge hit, right? Everyone wanted to come. I was selling tickets. I rented out a bar downtown, and it was just a huge hit. And so what ended up happening is I ended up raising tons and tons of money, right? But there was no cause behind it. There was no nonprofit involved. And so here I am, I'm like, if I have this gift of bringing people together, right, and I'm raising all this money, I don't need this, right? I was fortunate enough to be on a scholarship at VCU. I didn't need any of this money, so I'm like.
Was it athletic scholarship or academic scholarship?
Academic.
Look at there. Come on, man.
Yeah, so for me, I was like, I don't need all this money. I was like, what if I put two and two together? What if I'm the one that throws events for these charities that are struggling, right? And not necessarily struggling, a lot of times it'll be awareness about a certain cause, but they have the funding. Exactly. Sometimes they just need help, and who helps those who help, right? And so that's what we're here to do. And so basically I put two and two together. I was able to kind of serve as a lifeline for the charities and be able to donate all this money that I'm raising through these events. So now
That's
putting
fantastic. That's fantastic. So I want to get back to something real quick because you had an academic scholarship, VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University.
Yes.
Right. And your degree is in?
biology.
Biology. So were you planning at one point to be a doctor or what?
Yeah, so actually I was granted admission into medical school. And, for me, I was one of those things where it was kind of like ingrained, it was a goal of mine, but it was also something that was kind of hammered into my head, like, hey, look at medicine, do all this stuff and all that. But that wasn't really my passion per se. And so, I learned that the hard way, right? And so here I am trying to figure out where I fit in this medical world and all this type of stuff. And so as I was studying and doing all this stuff, I realized, man, this may not be for me. Still pursued it, taking the MCAT, getting admission into several schools, and then now I'm here trying to figure out, how do I get myself, to balance in the medical field and now enter this entrepreneur world. So
you're doing it all, man.
Trying.
I'm proud of you. I'm delighted to have you on the program. And how can we get in touch with Hearts of Empowerment?
So you can follow us on Instagram at Hearts of Empowerment. Same name on Facebook as well, Hearts of Empowerment. And then our website is heartsofempowerment.org, where you're able to submit any inquiry, whether it's for an event or you just want to talk or consulting, whatever it is. That's where you can find us.
All right. Well, let's keep working together, and we can help some people out there become empowered because they have the right heart.
That's what it's all
That's why
about.
you're serving in another capacity other than medicine.
That's what it's all about.
All right. God bless you, man.
Thank you so much.
Corey Fashawn, Hearts of Empowerment. A lot going on with this brother, and a lot more happening ahead on the Kelly Wright Show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Kelly Wright Show. Dominic Green is a rising film and photography star. His new exhibit, Awakened Brown Eyes, debuted last month. Dominic, welcome to the program today.
Thank you for having me, Kelly.
Man, I am delighted and excited by your career and what you're doing as a young filmmaker. Tell me about this exhibit, Awakened Brown Eyes.
Well, Awakened Brown Eyes was a short film collection that was showcased at the Atlas Intersections Festival just last week.
Okay.
And it was a collection that showcases Black people emoting. That was a big part of it, and understanding the part that we should go to therapy and talk to somebody, release, let your emotions out.
Okay, so that's actually cathartic, though.
Yes.
It's helpful.
Yes.
And therapeutic. Mm-hmm. Now, how did you get into film?
I got into film about 10 years ago. I was interning with a local artist that has a residency with the Tudor Place over in Georgetown. His name's Peter Waddell, and I was a part of one of his larger pieces called The Toy Theater.
Yeah, and for those who are watching from around the world, Georgetown is a very, not a trendy place, but a very famous place in the Washington, D.C. area. And of course, it's also home to Georgetown University and a lot of rising stars and artists all throughout that area, and you happen to be among them.
Yes.
That's fantastic, and you're representing Washington, D.C. beyond its boundaries, because people around the world can actually come in and see your work in a couple of noteworthy places here in D.C. How did you become, actually, according to my notes, you became part of a Nicholson project and an artist in residence. That's not too shabby. Tell me about that.
Well, the Nicholson project began about 2 months ago for me. It's a project where lady Stephanie Reiser, she began the project, the Nicholson project, to give young artists the opportunity to create an unbothered. And creating Unbothered, I've created this exhibition called Perception Times Agency within that Nicholson project.
Wow, so now that project is unpacking what in your artistic soul to express to the world?
For me, it's unpacking. Unpacking how we look at how people of color, black and brown people of color, are viewed. In terms of a lot of mass media and things like that portray us in a very negative light. And I'm a big believer in mythology and like hero stories. So for me, I thought it was very important to showcase our bodies in a way that's not a negative way. We're not demonized, we're not villainized. We are who we are. You know, we're just people, just let us be. And you can create your own stories of the images, the photography that I've taken of these people. They're not really given names, they're not given any backstories. So it's for the audience member or the viewer to come and see and create who they want that person to
See,
be.
I think we need that artistic. I think all of our artists in the past, whether they're spoken word or poets or musical artists or champions of hope, they all come together to paint the picture of how heroic and how giving African Americans are. There is a positive vibe to each and every one of us. And to your point, we cannot allow the mass media to create a mass interpretation of who we are that's wrong. So anytime you come on the Kelly Wright Show, you got to bring the positivity. Otherwise, we might as well go home and say that, well, we're just doing everything else everyone else is doing. So I commend you for the artwork that you're doing and for the project that you're doing. What do you see in the future for you?
Well, what I see in the future currently is I have a residency with University of Maryland and Joe's Movement Emporium to create a play called The Final Genocide that is a futuristic place set in 2093 that showcases the extinction of young black males, American black males. And for me, that is my next phase, moving more into sci-fi along with continuing my art and bringing awareness to create an imagery that just allows us to just be. We aren't those stereotypes and stigmas that have been placed throughout history. Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back anytime.
Thank
And
you.
I know we're going to see your films in theaters around the world soon and very soon.
Yes, sir.
As well as your artwork. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Kelly.
Keep being positive.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Kelly Wright. We're coming back with a lot more of the show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You guys know how much I love music, and now we've got the melodic music of our next guest, Rough Ends. They're bringing smiles to legions of fans worldwide, and we are honored to have them here on the Kelly Wright Show. Brothers, thank you. Thank you.
for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks
you,
for having us,
Dante
brother.
and
Thanks
David.
for having us.
So tell me about this 20-year collaboration and this partnership and this brotherhood of Rough Ends. Where did it all start?
I love how you put that, man. That's perfect. We started in In Baltimore. We started in Baltimore, actually, at a time when there was a lot going on in our streets. Not to say it's not a lot going on now, but it was at a time when I felt like we had to find each other, because I was into the streets real heavy, and my brother his family is mostly into the church, and you know, for me, it was my saving grace. So the brotherhood really started there. Like, it was something that had to happen, really, for me in my life, definitely. So,
Yeah, indeed. I would definitely agree, man, just to add to it. You know, in every ghetto in America, there's certain characters that are the same. You know, you have the drug dealers, you have that praying woman.
Yeah.
My family was the praying people.
praying family.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
You have the praying mother,
Exactly.
the praying grandmother.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Everybody's praying to make sure that
Exactly.
you're coming home safe.
Mother.
Exactly, and not just for the neighborhood,
Mother
though,
and
for the
father.
whole, like, my family used to bring home boxes of food they used to get from food places that, you know, gave away food or whatever, and they would give it to the whole neighborhood, the community. People would come all over Baltimore City to come and get food. So I kind of grew up like that, and the kind of neighborhood gave us respect because they knew my parents and what they did for the community, and they were really, you know, people that were really trying to make a difference. Yeah. You know, they knew my mother was with my father, and my father was with my mother. They wasn't no foolish.
Go back to the point that Dante was making: mother and father,
Mother and father
staying together. Because sometimes in our families and our struggles in the hood, we find it's difficult for mothers and fathers to hang tough through tough times.
Exactly.
But your music is a reflection of talking about those tough times. And what I like about Rough Ends is that it really is a brotherhood.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about coming from the streets and finding salvation and hope in the friendship with David, and it's all interconnected to a family that prayed together. Now, as a result of that, you're staying together.
Exactly.
Family that prays together.
Stays together. Oh.
So how do you do it musically? How do you bring it to the fore so that the world at large gets to hear your message in your music?
I heard you breathe. Man, it takes my breath away in a sense when I think about it, when you put it in that perspective. It's a beautiful thing. It's like, it's the place of escape for me that's like the musical paradise. Because I have someone there that meets me there, that understands me just as much as anybody. So when we're there, our place of communication is musically. It's musical, and it's amazing. You know, it's an amazing way to communicate, and then that communication is captured and given to our fans, to the people that got love for us, that love our music, or love R&B.
Love you. A lot of people love you globally.
Love them back, man.
And David, from your tip, what are you trying to say to the world through your music?
This time around, man, you know, I think, like I said, it's been 20 years. So when we were younger when we first started with No More Shopping Sprees and Someone to Love You, when we first got signed with Sony back in 2000. Wow. Getting old, man, getting old.
Come on. Go ahead. Yeah, we got to do that together. 20 years in the music business?
Exactly. But
thankful.
Now we're older now. You know, he's got a daughter now. I've got a son. We've lived. We've been in love. We've been hurt. You know what I mean? We've had life. I've had lost family members in my life. So now the story is different. The journey is different. The message is different. And Rated P, we have Rated P for Positive on our last album that we just put out called Soul Brothers, that's available right now.
Okay.
And it just says, that rating says that it's a positive message, and it can be played around your kids, it can be played around your grandmother, you can still play it in the clubs.
Love it.
And the message is definitely love and family, man. We want to really input a message of love and bring the love message back to R&B, because we believe that the music industry is so influential, and we just believe that we need a positive light, man. We need more positive. There's some, but we need more.
Yeah.
And you know, And that's what I'm just gonna leave it like that. I ain't gonna say no more. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole with that, but yeah.
No,
trying to make
that
our
was a good rabbit hole to go down and find more than just Alice in Wonderland. You found some truth in there.
indeed.
As they used to
women,
say,
man.
truth, power, and soul. Our women, exactly.
Our women.
Our
It's
women.
Women's Month.
It's women,
Yeah.
exactly.
Happy Women's Month to all the ladies out there.
All right.
Woo.
All right,
Love
so David and Dante, don't go anywhere. We're going to come back. I'm going to give my final word. We're going to close with your music, which oddly enough is about women, called Virtuous Woman. But I love what we're feeling here. This is good brotherhood right here. Come on, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Coming back with more of the Kelly Wright Show. Don't go nowhere because Ruffins is going to perform for us next. Peace out. Welcome back, and now for my final word. I want to salute all the women who continue to help us and lead us. And a personal thank you to my hero, June Lorraine Overton Wright, my mother. Without her, I wouldn't be here. She was a single parent who boldly, courageously, and lovingly helped me become who I am today. And then a special thanks to my family. My family is my team that works with me on this show. 3 beautiful, bold, brilliant black women who support a brother right here on the Kelly Wright Show. And thanks to our special guests as well, Ruffins. And before we leave you, we want to leave you with a message that I always give. We want to leave you with love, freedom, and peace. And brothers, thanks for being here, Ruffins. And we leave you now with their song, dedicated to women, Virtuous Woman. Peace out.
Hey Siri, play Virtuous Woman by Rough Ends.
Virtuous Woman by Rough Ends now playing.
Rough Ends.
Thankful for this woman, what a virtuous woman. Blessed to have this woman, she's a beautiful woman. Thankful for this woman, what a virtuous woman. Blessed to have this woman, she's a beautiful woman. She keeps me calm, she fuels my drive. The type of woman that you need by your side. She loves with passion, she lives with pride. Always real with her feelings, never keep much inside. No time for no drama, she works all the time. She's all about her fam and the business and line. She's the real deal, yeah, certified dime. Intelligent as people, still physically fine. Virtue, wisdom, it's all on you, girl. Passion, time is all you be asking. All on you, girl. Virtue, wisdom, it's all on you, girl. Passion. Said I'm thankful for this woman. Virtuous woman, blessed to have this woman. She's a beautiful woman. Thankful for this woman. What a virtuous woman, blessed to have this woman. She's a beautiful woman. Strength and honor is her clothes. I love divine, I want some more. She talks to me, she walks with me. When I ain't home, she be texting me. She stay concerned about her man. She's so wise, she understands. Her conversation, it's like bliss. Connection strong and a heavenly kiss. On you, girl. Passion, time is all you be asking. It's all on you, girl. Virtue, girl. It's all on you, girl. I'm thankful for this woman. What a virtuous woman. Blessed to have this woman. She's a beautiful, what a wonderful, what a remarkable woman. What a virtuous woman. Blessed to have this woman. She's a beautiful woman. God put you in my life, girl. I ain't looking for a nice girl, but I'm looking for the right girl. God put you in my life. God put you in my about to take flight, girl. Girl, I think I'm ready to give you all I'm thankful for.